football in this country.
I also think there's a huge problem of scouting in the country, especially for handlers who are taking charge of the under-17 age grade football. I think in recent times we've heard a lot of stories about corruption, getting money for particular players. I think it has also been that been and trying to go through instead of getting the best of players, we're trying to go through different areas of the country to make sure we have certain players from those areas. It's not really been working out in recent times, and I think at this age, what I see in countries like Argentina is you have a good coach, a coach that's giving you workable result at that age. You let him be in charge of that age group competition or that age group of future eagles for me. And it's not when you have coaches change coaches every time you're going for this competition. It's not really making sense for me, because some coaches are quite good with age group games or picking youths, and some are good with mature players. That's how it's supposed to work. At this stage, it's all about being able to find the talent and spotting them. And I can guarantee anybody that young talents scattered around the country. The problem is how to search them. The problem is who's ready to do the job to pick them and scout them.
Right now, Ima, how do we search them? How do we get these talents to come play for, the under-17, the under-20s? See how we groom them from there.
Right, I think it needs processes, but the problem here is that we do not follow the due process in scouting for these players, and it becomes a problem. For instance, underage competition should be organized, and secondary school games should also be organized in order to pick talent, because as far as the country is concerned, we have a lot of talent, but the problem is that we do not spend time, kill time, and just to bring out the strategy on how to get these players. Sometimes bribery do come into play, and at the end of the day, it becomes a problem in scouting these players. But as far as Nigeria is concerned, we have a lot of talent, and if these talents can be brought to the national team through proper integration, it makes a lot of sense. Look at a player like Kanwankwo in the national team. He played for the under-17, played for the under-20, played for the under-23 before playing for the Super Eagles. And look at how fantastic he was, and other guys. I think this is one of the things that is lacking as far as the Nigerian integration process is concerned. And if we can get over this problem and challenge, I think we are good to go.
Right now, let's talk about those already discovered and doing exploits on the international scene. Could manage that lead as the Los Blancos. Real Madrid did some comeback, of course, beating the Yellow Submarines to progress to the quarterfinals of this year's Copa del Rey. That was the story, but Samuel Chukwueze on target. Tina Capone getting the other goal was the story from last night. Vinicius Jr. kicked off the comeback, and Eder Militao got the second before Dani Ceballos got the winner with 4 minutes left to play. Elsewhere in Italy, Zapata Espano has been on red-hot form. Super Eagles winger Ademola Lookman will grab a brace, while Rasmus Højlund, Ethan Ampadu, and of course Hans Hateboer scored one each for Gianpiero Gasperini's side. Atalanta as it defeated Spezia by 5 goals to in the round 16 tie at the Gewiss Stadium. We're talking about the Coppa Italia. Albin Ekdal and Daniel Verde were on target for Spezia in that particular ball. Turned out to be just consolations. Now, according to Serie A's count, handle, we understand Lookman made 51 accurate passes, created 3 chances, recording 19 in recoveries in the match. A 25-year-old Blyden has now scored 11 goals in 18 appearances in all competitions for Lade this particular season. He's definitely enjoying his time in Italy.
Wonderful, amazing. It just seemed like everything working for Ademola Lookman at Atlanta. Wonderful stuff happening. And you begin to look at the differences happening to players. Just last season, he was at Leicester City. Wasn't at the same level he's been right now, and it shows quality, it shows volume, how things change fast in football, and that's what we're talking about. When you find a place, yourself in a good club that fits your style of play and fits the way you perform, you get the result. That's what we're seeing with Ademola Lookman. I love what's happening. I love the number of goals he's got. The performances are top notch. Before now, Lookman was always going to be that player, that typical winger that just runs and crosses the ball for you. Now he's added a lot of goals to it, and it makes sense. That's how a player ought to develop, especially when you're a winger, and it's making all the sense.
Right, Mari?
Bright's clearly quality. I think his master has never been in doubt, basically, because, had a torrid run at Leicester City, but before then, was, I think, with Fulham, he showed quality, was at Everton as well, so it was here and there for him to talk about Devon Lookman. And then look at Samuel Chukwueze. I think for him, I think he's getting consistent. He wasn't really getting the numbers in the first few seasons at Villarreal, and then they brought Jeremy Pino, that youngster, to act as competition for him. And I think after Pino came in, raised his standards, and of course he's getting to add some more numbers to the game. Not entirely getting double figures, but he's been very good. Had a good game against Real Madrid last night. I saw the game. Dribbled. What's his name now? Chelsea's defender Rudiger so much that Rudiger had to push back a little bit. So that was the story. But for me, it was quite fantastic to see these players get themselves back on track. Well, we'll always have this conversation of how the glide is forming to the national team, and that will be the concern, because you see these players put up 100% performances for their club sides, but entirely contradictory is the case when they come to the national teams. I'm expecting them to do the same kind of form when called up to represent the fatherland.
All right, now we're looking forward to a lot more. Ike Shirimomiwa saying local goalkeepers will get more opportunities in the Super Eagles, where it's goalkeeper trainer these days. Well, meanwhile, we've had a story of, a potential shake-up in the Super Eagles, Falcons, or the technical crew. That's according to the new NFF president, who talking about the man, Ibrahim Musa Gusau. And it's talked about the reduction of the makeup of the technical and administrative crew of the Super Eagles and all the national teams for easier management and to save costs. Now, talked about new measures already taking effect with the slashing of the coaching crew of the national under-20 team from 7 to 3, adding that the same action will be effected in the Golden Eaglets, who will open camp this particular month. Emma, let's look at this. Is it something that we've not done right in the past? Talking about overtly staffing this national team's multiplicity of functions, which leads to hiking the costs, running costs of all this national team. We think the federation and the handlers of the different federations have been culpable of this particular act over the last couple of years.
But as we all know, I think there was a saying that a new regime, new law, new administration, new philosophy, and new everything as far as the administrative approach is concerned. But at this point in time, I think for the man to bring some level of reduction in the number of staff, number of officials in the national team is something to look out for. I think it is a right step in the right direction, because when there is a reduction, I think there will be some level of concentration. When those in charge are really up to standard, when they have something to offer, there will be some level of concentration, and the offer at the end of the day will be something different as compared to when you have numerous of officials on the platform. At the end of the day, they bring nothing to the table, and at the end of the day, lots of money is expended at the end of the day. But at this point in time, we all know that Nigeria is always a platform whereby we base everything on the platform of compensation. This person has been around, he has been very serious, he has been very dedicated. What can we really do to this person? Let us give him this particular office, let us give her this particular office. And at the end of the day, these people just occupy the office, scooping all amounts of money into their pockets, amassing all sort of all forms of wealth, and at the end of the day, nothing is done. The narrative is not changed. But if this thing can be anything to go by, and those put in charge, entrusted with the particular responsibility, and they carry out the responsibility outrightly, I think we have taken a step forward.
All right, now we'll talk about the Premier League and expand this conversation a bit. Still right here with us to switch on conversation on 090-222-310-1027 624-565. The comeback win for Manchester City last night. The champions came from 2 down at halftime to win 4-2, but Pep Guardiola was left frustrated by missing passion, fire, and desire from his team qualities that he believes leaders Arsenal possess at this point in time. Let's listen to Pep Guardiola. And of course, you join the conversation in a bit on 090-222-310-1027 624-565. Pep.
You said the most important thing for you is the performance. So what did you make of your team performance tonight?
We played good the first half, the second half, but playing with lack of passion this season, I can announce we are not going to win anything.
But you showed the passion in the second half.
Lucky today. Every game we get the goals, so we're lucky to come back against Tottenham today, but it's not going to happen every day. So you have the necessary energy, to do it.
Well, what do you think? What's the reason behind that?
It's in 5 years, no fire inside, no guts, no. All the club is like that. Our fans the same. It's comfortable. So we need to back our energy in a positive way to be together and have a feeling we give the opponent. But if Tottenham overcome, Tottenham destroy you many things. They have the quality to do it, and they do it. You have to admit it and say, okay, they are better.
Right now, that's Pep Guardiola talking. Blyden, it's not often you hear Guardiola tear into his team like this. Well, it was very clear. It was very displeased. And it's been a story. I remember we've sat here a couple of times and talked about what's been that missing piece. While Man City looking very sluggish, they've looked very insipid. Their build-up play not looking sharp. Kevin De Bruyne out of sorts. You look at the João Cancelos, the Bernardo Silvas, the usually very sharp and, energetic guys. They're losing that cutting edge. And they haven't been able to kill off games. Games you'd think Man City will be flying at halftime. The struggle, even by winning margins, has been very meager. Not the Man City we've known over the last couple of years, but here's Guardiola laying it bare. 4 Premier League titles in the last 5 years, maybe that's gotten to their head in bed. And they're getting to underrate certain teams, and they're not running as much as they should, not covering enough spaces in the fans, are also very guilty on their own part.
I love what Pep just did. Psychological attraction for me. Quality stuff. Good coach for me. Never been a fan of Pep, but for the first time I like what he's doing. Look, when you tear your team apart like that, everyone understands the boss isn't happy. Everyone understands about yourself at high standard. I'm not thinking about you that way. That's basically what he did. But he's led the problem. I've seen Manchester City over time. They always have a slow start after a long break. After a break, they want to come back strong, but they're not as sharp as they're supposed to be. And the games are counting. Arsenal are up there. The defense for me, in addition to it, could just be that the fact that they've won 4 Premier League titles in five seasons, and it speaks volume. You can't get to that mental saturation, and you think probably we've won enough, and we're going to win it again anyway. So the come back, that's basically it for me, and that's what the coach has talked about. That's been missing. On the other hand, the cheer from the fans. I don't blame the fans, because when you're winning and winning and winning and winning, you don't necessarily feel like you have to drive the team to win. You just feel everything is going to fall in place. But it's not been adding up in recent times. The performances have not been adding up in recent times. I love the fact that they're tearing the team apart. And now the fans also start supporting the team. Needs their support also. And the players have to step up. The coach doesn't like the state they are at the moment.
No, Mari, they're not just in for the Premier League. This must be dangerous psychologically where they are and at the game level as well. They're going for the Champions League. Guardiola wants that so badly. That's been the only thing missing in his trophy cabinet, since he arrived Manchester City. They spent lots and lots of funds to get the best playing squad available. And of course, just to galvanize the team towards winning the Champions League, but it's not happening. And that must be frustrating. Now, the players beyond the Premier League must raise their level, because the Champions League, a lot more, certainly will be demanded when you consider the caliber of teams in there and the quality of the opponents they're facing in the next round.
Yeah, right. I think, Pep's statement is clearly directed towards the Champions League, the Premier League entirely for me, because, like I told you the other day, they're getting bored. 1-4 in the last 5 years. So you understand the Premier League is almost has to be taken, unfortunately. But all of this talk about raising your psychology up and then bringing yourself back on track is because of the Champions League coming up in February. Because these players lack drive and energy in games like we've seen these players go down. The Champions League final against Chelsea was a case of psychological issue after they considered that first goal, just couldn't get themselves back on track. Same story for against Real Madrid just last season, where they were inches close to another final. But of course, mental. I don't know, forgetfulness, or basically lack of focus made them, get knocked out of competition. So holistically, I think Pep is talking about all of this because he understands that this would be a major battle for the City team when the Champions League starts. And of course, they're always favorites because of the quality they have and the kind of coach they have in Pep Guardiola. So they'll always get to that stage where they get to probably to a semi-final or a final, and then face a tricky opponent, say Real Madrid, where you have to not just play with your feet but with your head. And that should be the conversation for Pep Guardiola City. But I like the fact he's also made sure that he tells players that clearly this is not business as usual. You have to raise your level up, whether you're winning or you're losing. You have to be up there.
Now, let's leave City for a moment and talk about the opponents. Tottenham Hotspur. Not very often you see Spurs with all the defensive doggedness, a structure we've complained about under Antonio Conte, the negative approach, negative style of play, concede 4 goals, but that's exactly what they did. And Conte as well was, very critical of his players. He said it's never happened before in his coaching career, conceding 4 goals in one half. But that's exactly what they did yesterday. And from losing position, that's about the first time for City. But looks good. They've done that 5 times now, from losing position, coming back to win. But it's not looking good for Spurs either.
Truly, Brett. At some point towards the end of last season, Tottenham were very negative in their approach, in their football. They played a lot of negative football, and it all boils down to the fact, to the tactics, to the philosophy of the man in charge. I'm talking about Antonio Conte. He has been very negative in his approach. Sometimes he is very focused in the defensive aspects of the game, rather than the building and the attacking aspects of the game. And it doesn't really make sense, because when you are so defensive minded, you forget the building and the attack. I think it becomes a problem. Look at the caliber of player he has in his array, in his arsenal. He has a lot of good players. Look at players like Kulusevski, players like their son Heung-min, Harry Kane. All these players, putting them together, they can definitely bring something positive to the table. But at the end of the day, it boils to the tactician and the philosophy of the coach. I think this is what Tottenham is suffering from at this point in time. But if and the philosophy changes, I think Tottenham can become a force to reckon with.
Also, right, I don't think it's entirely, let's not entirely put the blame on Antonio Conte. There's some players there that have been absolutely atrocious in terms of performance.
Yeah, but it's his duty. Players and then bringing fresh. Who firing?
Yeah, Hugo Lloris, for instance, is the first player that comes to my mind. He's made 4 errors leading to goal this season alone. 4 errors. Had, an own goal. Scored as well. And he's considered 29 goals as a goalkeeper. A goalkeeper is the last line of defense, where you're making errors leading to goal every single game. And it's becoming fallible. It's becoming very consistent over time. So you have to be a change. And he's the captain, unfortunately, for the side. So changing him might be difficult, because he's the most experienced hand in goalkeeping position for that team. So he's been a major culprit in that team for me. And Antonio Conte has to find a way to replace him in that team. If not so, he'll cost them points.
No, there are so many goalkeepers in the market. For instance, let me just mention one, the goalkeeper of Croatia, Daniel Livakovic. I think he can also be a force to reckon with.
Right now, that's it for me, Brian. I listen to Mari talk about the goalkeeper. I can't scapegoat the goalkeeper. That's it for me. And disappointment from my standpoint. Midfield, what Antonio Conte is doing, you're choking the midfield, and watching the ball, it makes sense to me. If you let's do the watch that game right. And they're lackadaisical about it, just running around everyone, not playing in the middle. At some point, it's as if they was just City play, and that was the scenario for me. Right. Defensive play didn't happen yesterday.
090-222-3101-027-624-565. So I'll keep the fans waiting any further. We'll take you through the injury situation across the respective teams, top teams basically in England. Sharing dates, nature of the injury, and what the physios are saying in fine details. Well, let's begin with Arsenal. Gabriel Fernando de Jesus has got an injury back in the 18th rather of March.
Yes. Well, I'm surprised. I think yesterday that at Tottenham with my team City, well, the matter they are winning at good faith. That's not the passion of playing that ball. So now it wasn't the interest as it is before. Because, if it is not Tottenham, maybe it could not even happen like this. 2 down to be 4-2 winning in for that team. So Guardiola should be careful since take away the producers and the tension go out of the city. City somehow the ball players be changing, playing coming up. So Guardiola should be carefully and going to the running ball and make sure they go and capture the ball play as they used before.
Thank you very much, William, for joining. Appreciate you. Keep it running. We've got lots of transfer stories for Brighton and Hove Albion. Jakob Motta has got an injury return to the 25th of February for Enoch Wepowa. No return date is out. Of course, Levi Colwill, no return date as well. We look at Chelsea, 10 players out injured. That's a humongous list. Welcome, football fan. Name and location.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Yes, thank you very much for joining.
I'm calling from Subaru.
Welcome, Pastor.
Right, I want to say kudos to Pep Guardiola and Manchester City for winning Tottenham Hotspur and gap between them now. The league leader just now to 5 points. from here on, could be easy to continue to fix that gap and maybe overtake Liverpool. Now, if there is by Arsenal, it's getting very interesting this season. The top four and the fight to win the EPL is getting very interesting. So every team that wants to go into the top four has to be not stopping point, just like my team Chelsea is doing. And you know very well the problem of Chelsea. The problem of Chelsea started with the buyover of the team and the removal of and resignation of most of the management staff. Finally, bringing in a middle-level coach that is known to have been handling a middle level team in England. But I am happy that most of the players are coming back from injury situation where 12, 13 players were on the injury list, and Chelsea has to continue to drop points and drop points. I hope that with the coming back of some of the players, Chelsea will be back to its pride of place on the table. I wish them the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us now. Let's look at Chelsea. The players out injured. N'Golo Kante returns on the 4th of March. Raheem Sterling returns on the 15th of February. For Yao Felix serving suspension, returns on the 11th of February. Dennis Zakaria is back from injury on the 11th of February as well. Ben Chilwell returns on the 3rd of February. For Wesley Fofana, returns on the 3rd of February as well. That's the same story for Reece James, who has a knee injury. For Armando Broya, no return date. Christian Pulisic, no return date. Edward Mendy, wrist hand injury, no return date as well. Welcome, football fan. Name, location. Good to have joined us.
Yeah, good afternoon, sport analyst.
Welcome, Mr. Easy.
On the line. Yeah, let me quickly talk about Chelsea taking on Liverpool and come this weekend. I want to say that Liverpool is a big team. No matter how Liverpool has struggled, we are going to beat Chelsea tomorrow. Take my word to the bank.
Which bank?
I wish any bank. I wish Chelsea fans, they should not be hyped by many good boy signings that their manager has made, because we are not scared of those signings they have signed before, and I wish them they should avoid the same mistake they did with Salah and the rest of the Brunei, because I see that would likely happen this very time at Chelsea. So they should relax. We are beating them tomorrow. That's my check. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Easy, for joining. Welcome, football fan. Name, location.
Good afternoon, Brett and Sports Crew.
Yeah, top gunner.
Brett, kudos to Hotspur Bendel Insurance and the pedigree of the coach they have, Monday TJ. His pedigree is high. I know they can do it. They are still all soldiers with a winning mentality. I'm still giving kudos to MC Manager. A great league, no violence, no bias of protecting. Teams are winning away and losing at home. That's fine. For Tottenham, Brett, they are poor and attributed the blame to their players. They lack them. They don't have game changer. If you can recollect, Tottenham are 11-tower fighter. Remember what they did to Arsenal last season. They hindered Arsenal the Champions League love. They may come back and start picking points. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Top Gunner, for joining the conversation this afternoon. You appreciate it. For Luis Fernando Diaz, player for Liverpool Football Club, is out with an injury. Returns on the 4th of March 2023. For Diego Jota, returns on the 21st of February. Virgil van Dijk is out, returns on the 18th of February. Otho Ramos de Oliveira Melo back on the 4th of February. Darwin Nunes Ribeiro back on the 21st of this month, so that's this particular weekend as well. Constantino Tsimikas returns this weekend. For Roberto Firmino out with a calf shin heel injury. There's no return date, we understand. Welcome, football fan. Name and location.
Good afternoon, Brad James.
Yeah, Victor.
Yeah, good afternoon, Clarence and Marizona. It's a great time, Brighton. Let me say that I'm so happy for what is to come this weekend. Brighton, is going to be a great time. See Chelsea welcome Liverpool in Stamford Bridge. I know that the Liverpool fan has really right up Chelsea, but it is football. I believe in my team, the players, Graham Potter, because this is a very crucial time. We should try our best to get the point that we want, because Chelsea must go and stand in the top. I wish my team all the best. And Aqua United, they are much away and Dakar FC this weekend. That's my thing. Thank you for
Thank you very much. Johnny Van der Beek, well, out, returns later in the year, out for the season actually. For Carlos Casemiro suspended, returns in the 25th of this month. Anthony Martial returns this weekend. For Jack Butland, well, returns this weekend as well. Jadon Sancho, no return date. Diego Dalot, no return date. Mason Greenwood, no return date. Axel Twanzebe, no return date. Now let's look at the EPL fixtures for this weekend. Tomorrow lunchtime kickoff, guys. It's Liverpool taking on Chelsea. Leicester City taking Brighton by 4. At the same time, Southampton and St Mary's host Aston Villa. So relegation scrappy fight between West Ham United and Everton. It could be David Moyes' last. It could also be Frank Lampard's last as West Ham and Everton manager respectively. 1 month at the Vitality taking Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park to welcome Newcastle on Sunday. There is Man City welcoming Wolverhampton Wanderers. Leeds versus Brentford. Fulham taking Tottenham Hotspur by Monday. The biggest game for the weekend would see Arsenal at the Emirates taking Manchester United. No Casemiro, but there's Thomas Partey. That should be exciting, right? We'll put a break here very quickly, and when we're back near this hour, we'll talk about transfer. Mari's tracking some for us, likewise Facebook. Well, this is a quick one now. Show debuts later tonight. We're talking about the World of Hero show. Debuts later tonight by 9 p.m. There'll be lots of fabulous prizes to be won. So join Janice Cobhams for that one. Friends, family, loved ones around. So right here is transfer stories, calls, messages on Facebook, and a lot more after now.
Yo.
Striker joins the Hammers on a 2.5-year deal, taking him up shortly before his 33rd birthday. Well, the man will be eligible to feature their crunch relegation 6 points with Everton at London Stadium on Saturday, with his paperwork submitted before the Premier League meet the deadline earlier today. Big money move from the Italian league, and there was a lot in terms of expectations on his shoulder, but a struggle for form and fitness this particular season. But here's Danny Ings. The goal scoring problems goes away in just a flash.
Not entirely right, but I think it's a quality addition to the side. He understands the Premier League through and through. And I remember when he went to Southampton initially from Liverpool, was good for them. Had them score goals, mid-season, and of course helped them survive that relegation battle that season. And that performance helped him get a move on to all the way to Aston Villa, who are considered a lot better as compared to Southampton. But he's not just been able to sparkle Aston Villa, despite the quality in and around him, and then players have come to overshadow him. We're talking about the likes of Leon Bailey. We're talking about the rest of them coming to overshadow him. The young star, the sign from Brentford, Oli Watkins has also come to bench him there. So I think West Ham right now looks good for me. They need a goal scoring option right now. They need an attacker. They've not been able to get through through to the quality of Mikel Antonio. Scamacca came in from Sassuolo with so much potential, but has not just been able to hit the ground running. So they need somebody who is experienced and of course understands the Premier League through and through, to get him. So I think the man, what's his name now? It's actually a good option for me. If you ask me, basically, Danny Ings particularly is a good option. If you look at the kind of quality he brings into the team, might not entirely guarantee them 20-25 goals, but I think he's going to score crucial goals for West Ham United.
Ings' net is 68 times, scores 188 Premier League appearances prior to his move to East London. Leaves Aston Villa as their top league scorer this season with 6 goals in 18 games. Talk about more transfers in a bit. Welcome to Execution. Good to have you join us.
Hello, good afternoon, Bryce. Yes.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah. My name is Chigozie, calling out the way from Madia State.
Welcome, Chigozie. Good to have you join us.
Yeah. Yes, I want to combine Arsenal have signed any player.
Well, the story this afternoon is that Arsenal have agreed a deal to sign the man from Brighton and Hove.
Leandro
Trossard.
Okay.
We're also looking to get a Polish youngster.
Yeah, and of course, we're talking about the Spezia defender, Kivo.
Yeah.
That's the name. Now, welcome, football fan, name and location. Good to have you join us.
Hello, good afternoon, Fred.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Happy New Year for the third time.
Thank you very much for joining. Happy New Year.
I'm coming from Atlanta. Like you see this weekend between my team Arsenal and Manchester United, it's going to be a very big cracker. Since 2017, Man U can never beat Arsenal at the stadium. So it's going to be a very big cracker for Man U. It's going to be a win for Arsenal. 4 corners. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Arsenal close to signing Spezia and Poland defender, central defender, that is Jakub Kiwior. The deal for the 22-year-old defender is understood to be worth around £20 million. And Sky are reporting that the player will fly into the UK over the weekend for a medical with personal terms not expected to be a big problem. What transfer stories are you tracking for us? Sadio Aniwa Kiwior has been captain 9 times by Poland and started all 4 of their games at the World Cup in Qatar. Arsenal have been looking for left-sided central defender to provide competition for Gabriel Magalhaes.
Yeah, Brett Chelsea from here are close to getting a deal for Noni Madueke, the PSV youngster. And he's 20 right now, and he's set to join Chelsea for a relatively 6-year deal. We'll talk about from there.
Hold the brakes there for a bit, Blyden.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that, man.
This is fascinating. Chelsea, this would be their 6th
big signing. Yeah.
Transfer acquisition this particular window alone. Well, Chelsea are busy, and it would take the transfer spending in the Todd Body era to a little over £400 million.
Yeah, £460 million so far. Speaks volume. Something changed. New era, new team. I think basically Todd Bowley is trying to build a new team with young players scattered around. But for Noni Madueke, for me, coming from PSV, a bit decent, not the biggest of name you could think of. He's young, had not had a very good season this particular year because of a few injuries here and there. But last season was quite decent for them, and who knows what could happen. I think it's one for the future, but surprising. I think Chelsea are just set to change the entire squad.
Right, worrying for me because, I mean, Chelsea are not learning their lessons. First of all, Madueke is an injury-prone player. I mean, for a player that's 20, he's missed over 276 days to injury. He's 20, he's not even 30 yet. He's missing over 54 games through injury. So what happens when you're 25, when you're 30? And look at Chelsea, they don't learn. Ben Chilwell came in with the injury concerns, and then look how he's preferring. He's not guaranteed consistency for Chelsea. Same story goes for maybe Hakim Ziyech and every other player.
Wesley Fofana.
We keep signing these players with injury concerns, and then with big money, and they come and they don't sparkle. So I wonder why you're going for Noni Madueke, when his injury history is quite very, very alarming. So what's the plan? What's exactly the plan for them? So I think it's entirely a bad move for me. Well, take nothing away from Madueke, he's a fine player, but the fact that he would not play consistently for Chelsea is a problem.
Welcome, football fan.
Can't be totally sure.
Things change. Welcome, football fan. Emily Christian.
Yeah, Brad. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Arizona and Zara, I greet you all. Success on the line.
All right, success.
I just want to inform you that we are already in the training pitch. We open our first training session of the season.
Okay.
And I also want to ask of the guy from PSG if the deal is done.
Deal not done yet.
All right. My man.
Yeah, success.
I greet you.
Well done.
Yeah, I greet you.
All right, thank you very much. Success.
We just resume our training today.
All right.
We are in the field.
Oh, well, have fun. Thank you, Success, for joining. Jojo Shelby returns on the 18th of February. My targets, no return date. Bruno Gomes, ankle foot injury, no return date. Emil Kraft, no return date as well. It's the story of the Premier League, and of course we're talking about Newcastle. Newcastle are in that top 4 bracket this day, so a big team, right? No more transfer stories for you now. There's clarity regarding Concado Guedes and his move to Benfica on loan. Well, Jurgen Leptoga has admitted he was unhappy and he wanted to quit Wolves. The attacker joined Benfica on loan for the rest of the season, just 165 days after moving to the Molineux. He made £27.5 million switch from Valencia in the summer, but Leptoga has let him leave. Well, he wants to play football. Klopp has been talking about new Chelsea signing. We're talking about Mikhail Mudryk. What does he know about the player? He's a really good player. Incredible Champions League campaign he's had so far. He's got speed, technique, goals, combines a lot. So having him on one wing and Felix on the other one is interesting. Chelsea sought problems differently to us. Let's see. There's a lot there, Emma. He's complained about the lack of depth in that Liverpool team. There's been a lot of space in the middle of the park, an aging squad and all. But yeah, Chelsea spending at will.
That is the problem with Liverpool. The squad depth is not very strong at this point in time, and they are not performing very well as compared to how they were last season when they were pushing for the title. But having all sort of aging players in the midfield, I think that has not really helped. But they should also go to the market and see how they can bring in some players that can replace these aging players. But though they have brought in the Dutchman, talking about
that's a striker, Cody Gakpo.
He's a striker, Cody Gakpo, but they need to also beef up the midfield if they have to get something out at the end of the day.
Right now, for Graham Potter, the head coach of Chelsea, well, says Mikhail Mudryk could make his debut versus Liverpool this weekend. Keep the calls coming.
Right, you're right. Facebook from Live Feed Festival. Before we take a look at the sports page, Joseph Francis Namani says, "Good afternoon, Bright James. Congrats to Man City for a successful comeback against Tottenham. City thrashed them by 4-2. A good one, I must say." Easy Praise Timothy says, "Arsenal against United. It's going to be a tough match, though. But I, however, wish my darling team United 3 points on Sunday." John Crisantes says, "Greatest Madrid," and that's what he said. But let's look at the sports page quickly. Bright, there's a post published there, and we have a little over 5 comments there. Misaro Jai comes in first of all and says, "Good afternoon, Sports Cry. I watched the highlights from yesterday's game. Both CR7 and Messi featured. The performance was outstanding, especially Ronaldo's goal scoring from translating to Al-Nassr from Squaring Club. We missed him so much." George Sunday says, "Yesterday's match between City and Tottenham was wow. That was a spectacular comeback from City. Please, was Messi also substituted in the friendly match yesterday? Because I know of Ronaldo in his 68th minute." Michael Elijah.
Messi was.
He was too. Michael Elijah says, "A happy 52nd belated birthday to Man City boss, which was on Wednesday. A goalkeeper apology we the fans accept, but Pep should give the second keeper time to play. I don't work on what happened yesterday." Just Canyon says, "City did the champion stuff, so I wasn't surprised about the scoreline after going down 2-0 at halftime, then still win by 4-2. Finally, from the sports page, Antia says, "When is supposed to win against Manchester City?"
No, well, it must be an Arsenal fan.
Yes.
Games scattered across Europe for tonight. Meanwhile, here, the Championship up and running. Group D, Angola taking Mauritania by 5. Congo taking Niger by 8 p.m. In La Liga, Mallorca taking Celta Vigo by 9 p.m. RB Leipzig taking Bayern Munich. Is the star game in the Bundesliga this particular weekend. Comes up by 8:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Atletico Madrid have announced the signing of Memphis Depay from Barcelona. The Dutch international forward has signed a 2.5-year deal at the Wanda Metropolitano now. According to Sky, Barca could explore the possibility of signing Chelsea striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the event of Depay moving to Atleti, and that now has been confirmed.
You could be my hero before.
Meanwhile, Brighton boss Roberto Di Sheppi has, talked about how difficult the situation is involving Leandro Trossard and Brighton. Well, Brighton wanting to stay. Well, Leandro Trossard wants that move to Arsenal, wants it this particular summer. Nottingham Forest have signed Newcastle's Chris Woods on loan. And Hag is out with a big statement, says we know how to beat Arsenal again. But of course, they're even better now. Let's talk about the transformation that's taking place at the Emirates and for Arsenal since that last meeting between both sides. What do you think has changed for the Arsenal, which could, play out to the advantage as both sides meet again this particular weekend?
Oh, well, let me start from the first game, the first leg. I think Arsenal were clearly the better side in the first leg, but there was no Casemiro at the time for Manchester United, and they weren't quite good the way they're good now, comparatively as a then. But on the other hand, in that particular game, Thomas Partey wasn't part of that mix for Arsenal. Manchester won. I would say they were a bit lucky. Arsenal had a flat defense and Manchester won it. This particular game would be the peak of it. And come on, I think Arsenal might just top Manchester United in this one, especially realizing that Casemiro won't be part of this particular game.
Ma?
Quite difficult at this point in time, but when you look at Manchester United, how they were in the first outing, they were not very fantastic as compared to how they are at the moment. But like Bledon said, in that first match for Arsenal were very good without Thomas Partey, but they are much better now with Thomas Partey, and there was no Casemiro. And Casemiro will not also be around. So it's left in the hands of McTominay to see how he can make Manchester United fans not to miss Casemiro.
Right, United winning for me. Yes, there's no Casemiro, but of course, United, the kind of form they are right now, they can do, what they need to do to get over themselves over the line. McTominay can come in, and of course, give him quality. He's out on the bench, he's watched what Casemiro has been doing for United, and he definitely wants to raise the standard up. So, yes, Arsenal are in top form, but I think United will do a back-to-back on them, because first up, they had a good run of form on beating the last 10 games, competitions, and it shows you quality. So, but Arsenal can do what they do, but I think United are getting that win.
I just hope Vegas doesn't start this one because if it does, trust me.
But Manchester United can definitely give something out from Emirates Stadium. 3 points, I mean.
Here's the gap for me. Here's a huge gap. Casemiro, this run of form we've talked about is peculiar with this man, Casemiro. The way he's played, he'll be a huge miss in this particular game.
No, we'll see how that pans out.
Even no opinion, he didn't just walk into the team. He spent some time on the bench because how fantastic McTominay was. But at this point in time, I think McTominay can also come in and replicate what he did before.
And I think so. Rashford is scoring. How many games? 8 in a row. So there's a lot. He